Hi, Abhik. Thank you for coming and congratulations on an amazing 645 with a VNQ 84, as well as your recent admit into Booth Chicago. So, congrats on multiple fronts.
Thanks, Vida. Thank you very much. Cannot thank eGMAT and you enough for being a very crucial part in my journey.
And your journey has been quite long. I know that in the more recent GMAT focus journey, you faced certain constraints when it comes to preparation on multiple fronts, including, having a 2 month old, tackling the waitlist deadlines at Booth and Ross, right? And also just trying to find time as a working professional to invest into your GMAT prep. How did you really plan out your time given these constraints at hand?
I knew uh, what I need to do with my baby, like what time slots I have to work on my applications or my GMAT, because other times I'll be busy with her. So during those times, I kind of prioritized. There were certain things that I had to do for the school, attending events and talking to students. Those were all in the evening usually. So I tried to find time in the morning hours to
Mhm.
spend like a couple of hours, or if not 1 hour, to do my GMAT. And sometimes I was working remotely and I had some free time, and I could spend some more time on GMAT preparation. So like you said, I had after I got waitlisted, I was working. I did not want to do the GMAT focus until probably Feb or something, or end of Jan. I was like, okay, I probably need to take another time. And since then, I started working on it. And then you and Payal also came into the loop, and I basically had 3 weeks
Mhm.
to complete it to the DI course. And so doing 2 hours a day was a little difficult. That's what I told Payal at the time. But I was somehow able to manage it. And those were the constants. And I kind of tried to find time in between to, yes, fill in those gaps.
Understood. I know that to make working with these constraints a bit easier, we'd really, Pat especially, had gone ahead and kind of created a study plan for you, which we can kind of see right here. It maintains certain targets for you for different subsections. It maintains different things you have to do. How did having a plan in this way enable you to really streamline your entire prep journey?
Actually, amazing, because before I mean, I think she did that, and then we had a meeting with her also, where she went through all of these things with me. It really helps because it gives me, okay, these are the goals. Instead of, no, okay, I have to prepare. Now I know what I need to do, how I need to do, what are the timeline, what is the time scope, and that made me calculate my time efficiently. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so I am working on GITA course. This is like 7 hours. So if I do this for 2 hours today, 3 hours tomorrow, I can somehow get to where I want to go. So the timing aspect was really helpful, and accountability. Okay, I did this. This gave me confidence. I'll move forward with it, and trackability. And this also is, I like this because it's a structured approach. That's what Booth also is. It's a structured way of doing things. So
Had to go into execution mode. But your GMAT journey started quite a while ago. And it started with what was your biggest challenge, I would say, which was the verbal section. You've had tremendous, tremendous growth there on both fronts. But let's really break it down and tackle the verbal section one subsection at a time. On the CR, especially from the GCE, you've gone from a seventh percentile to about an 85th on on your recent GFE attempt. What were the biggest challenges that you really faced in CR?
uh, CR, personally, it was when I first started. I, like many people say, it was like touchy feely thing. Okay, I read a question and I go through the options. This was back in 2021, by the way.
Mhm.
2020, 2021, by the way. That was the first time I actually started working on GMAT. And at that time, I looked at the question and, okay, this is the question, this is, I go through the answers and like, okay, this feels good, this feels good. So that feel part was there. I did not understand fully what the question was asking and the nuances of the tricky questions that GMAT throws at you.
Mm-hmm.
uh, the eGMAT's pre-thinking was a game changer. Like everyone says that, and it's not something that everyone has just said. It's actually true.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, it's game changing because it again gives you the structured approach.
Mm-hmm.
The structured approach to attempt the question. You read the question. It tells you to first identify what the conclusion is. Once you identify the conclusion, now it asks you, okay, try to find ways to break the conclusion.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can find some ways to break the conclusion, then from that you understand what was the reasoning behind the author's argument. So author came to a conclusion, but he had this reasoning, and that kind of clarity helps you address what the assumption is behind the question.
Mm-hmm.
Once you get the reasoning behind it, you can strengthen the reasoning, you can weaken the reasoning. Understanding the reasoning is key. So the pre-thinking helps you get there,
Mm-hmm.
and it helped me also tremendously.
Understood. So it helped you go beyond feeling into process, this entire
Yes.
pre-thinking. Mhm.
Yes, it
And
did.
like I said, and you've told me this, right? You were at the seventh percentile the last time on the GC. How did you manage to turn that around when you came back with the same pre-thinking approach and improve to the 90th percentile overall?
uh, I first I think the seventh percentile, I don't know why I got that seventh percentile, because when I got the seventh percentile, I don't think I was at the percentile, because when I was doing the scholarinium or the mock tests, I was doing well, honestly. But the test day, the tests setting somehow didn't sit that well with me. Uh, so I ended up getting a seventh percentile on my last attempt before I took the GMAT focus, and I still got a 700 score, but the seventh percentile was the reason why I got the 700 score. That I kind of understood that probably I'm rushing through the questions.
Mm-hmm.
In my mind, I was thinking, I was pre-thinking it, but because there was a race against time, my mind was half focused on the timer on top. So I understand half of it, and then I look at the time. I'm running out of time. So I kind of half cook my solution,
Mm-hmm.
and I see the first option. Again, it's more a feel thing without knowing it's a feel thing for me. That's why I think
Mm-hmm.
I was flunking it. And
Understood.
after some sessions with yourself,
Mm-hmm.
Payal and Rajat, I got an understanding. Okay, probably that's happening, and it was some kind of self introspection also. Like, why is
Mm-hmm.
it happening to me? I mean, I'm doing well, non test taking day, and test taking day I'm not doing well, and there must be a reason behind. And I think that was the reason I came up with, and I think you guys also will agree to it. Try to take it one step at a time. Don't look at the timer. Try to understand the question, and that helped me at the end. However, SC was different. Although I was doing well in SC, I think the adaptability from SC to CR is where I was not able to grasp it. But now that the CR is gone, SC is gone, and we just CR and RC, it was straightforward to me, because all of the questions, CR or RC, are in same approach wise
Mm-hmm.
for me. So that helped.
Understood. Okay. So that definitely there were a lot of plus points when you shifted. You mentioned something very interesting that there's a lot of similarity between CR and RC, especially compared to SC. How did these similarities, especially moving from CR to RC, how did that help you conquer reading comprehension? And how did you actually approach reading comprehension type questions?
For me, like in my beginning of my journey, I used to just read for reading.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I was reading it, but I was not. I was not able to grasp everything while I was reading it. Partly because of the time thing again. I think the time thing was a big thing for me, and now GMAT Focus helped me with that. But mainly, the reading comprehension was helpful, and it is in line with CR is because both of the sections you have to understand the paragraph completely. You have to
Mhm.
understand what the author is saying. You have to understand what he might be inferring, he or she might be inferring, and that goes parallel to both of them.
Mhm.
For CI, it goes a little deeper because you have to do the pre-thinking part. For
Mhm.
RC, not always. You still might have to do sometimes, but not always. As long as you have a very fine understanding of the passage, most of the times you should be good.
Understood.
So, and master comprehension that eGMAT has really helped me understand RCs in a better way. In general, like reading in a better way, I would
Mhm.
say, not just for GMAT. It helps me reading in general also. If I'm reading some articles outside, like Wall Street Journal or something, the master comprehension really helped me like do take the pause points properly, see what the author is trying to say. Uh, those pause points like keywords,
Mhm.
therefore, since, or however, those transition, the contrast words. So those things, master comprehension tells you, hey, if you see something like this, pause, see
Mhm.
what direction author is going. So that really helped me in that helped me in understanding the passage well, and that understanding the passage well helped me get a good score. So
Correct.
absolutely.
So everything that we've talked about till now through the courses, whether it's MC or CR or RC, that's all your stage one of learning, right? Where you're really setting the foundations. I know
Mhm.
that another pivotal aspect of verbal prep as a whole, as you've mentioned, is the cementing part of things. So what role did cementing play in getting you to that 90th percentile?
Cementing played a huge role because that gave me the confidence. Because the way eGMAT's course is structured, it tells you upfront, okay, you need to do cementing well before we go further in anyway. So if and I trusted eGMAT completely because I mean you guys are phenomenal. You've been through my thick and thin. You've been always helpful to me, and when I didn't believe in myself, you guys believe in me. Then that's a huge thing. So thank you for that. That's a side topic again. But anyway, uh, the cementing when I so every time I did that, sometimes I did not do well, and there's a threshold of 70%, right? And I was taking three quizzes, and you suggested me to take three quizzes for hard or medium. Whenever you take a cementing quiz, take three of each, hard and medium.
Mhm.
There were times where I get like less than 70% for one of them, and then like two of them are like 90 or 80. So it by on average it was more than 70. So it gave me the confidence, like, hey, you are at that level now, you need to push forward. That was a very big piece. Achieving that level, it's not eGMAT's questions are not easy. They
Mhm.
are good replication of GMAT's official GMAT questions.
Mhm.
So getting to that score level is more of a mental block for you. Like, okay, I have surpassed this,
Mhm.
so I can go forward. The same thing with the hard questions. 55% is the accuracy that you guys are looking for. So once you cross that, it's more of a confidence booster for me more than anything else. Okay, so I've achieved this. What next?
Mhm. So it really
So
helped you set that standard for yourself in your prep.
yes, yes, and also the metrics and the data that comes with it.
Mhm.
Even if something went wrong, you can go back and you can go sort it out through subsections and those the tag time. Okay, I got this right, but it took me so much longer. What went wrong? So all of those things you guys keep telling me. I mean, in our email conversations, it's always there. That's I think the philosophy of eGMAT. So that really helped, honestly.
I'm really, really glad to hear. I know that alongside the data through cementing and the mentorship that we provided, you had another essential tool, especially through the quizzing, and that was your error log.
Mhm.
Why is an error log an essential part of GMAT prep?
I was not an ideal student. I did not do the error logs as consistently as I wish I would have done.
Mhm.
But it is very important, especially because if you are stuck at a stage, like I keep hearing, I mean, I personally myself was also
And it's something that obviously, as we can see, has reaped the results because a 90th percentile, a V84, is a wonderful score. On the quant side of things, however, I know that you already started off on a stronger foot, and most of your work was restricted to scholaranium. We've talked about cementing and how important that is, and how important it is to look at your tack time. But how did scholaranium really play a role in your GMAT prep and in your GMAT quant prep? And how did it help you go from good to great on the quant side of things?
uh, I would say pace really helped me here. That
Mhm.
pace method structure that you guys have. There are certain things that I not fully confident with the probability piece, the profit and loss in the word state in the word problem section, profit and loss or discount. Those kind of they always get me. And when I see those words, oh man, I don't want to work on this now. So it's kind of that.
Mhm.
But the pay structure really helped me go through those, do initial diagnostic and say, hey, you're, because I was good in some other like work related work problems or something like that. So I did not have to do those again. I just wanted to focus on these things. And the pay structure really helped me with that. I was able to do diagnostic. It just said, hey, you need to do only work on these things and you should be fine. And I did that. It helped me. And scholaranium wise, I was able to target my search, my preparation. For the most part, gaining confidence in these probability and PNC and those things, but also at the same time constantly revising my strengths also, the arithmetic or algebra, all those things. Because trust me, if you don't practice constantly, you I mean I made several silly mistakes or simple mistakes, and I've hit myself on my shot myself on my foot. So that's very important, and the scholarly really helps you with targeted preparation for me.
Mhm. So it helped you really streamline things and just focus on turning whatever lingering weaknesses were there into strengths.
Hmm.
Makes a lot of sense, right?
Absolutely.
As I'm sure you also looked at different difficulty levels to figure out where your weaknesses also lied, right?
Hmm.
And then we were able to close this out. Let's move to talking about DI, which I think your experience, especially with the DI section, will serve as a cautionary tale for a lot of test takers out there. But before that, let's just talk about, what did you learn on the course? How did you prepare for DI?
I've coming into the GMAT focus. I knew DI was the difference between, and also lack of SC, which really was helpful to me, and the
Mm-hmm.
shortened exam time was also helpful to me. So I
Mm-hmm.
thought these things will really help me, but I didn't know what to expect out of DI. Going into the course, uh, before that, I I felt fairly confident because all of my integrated reasoning scores were always 7 or 8 for the most part. So I felt fairly confident, but it's different because at the time you had more time. IR had like 2.5 minutes per question
Mm-hmm.
previously. Now it's not the same. It's little lesser than that. So
And
I
it's
knew
also
that.
adaptive now,
It's
whereas
also adaptive now. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's also adaptive, and it adds to your overall score. That also is important.
Mhm.
So I knew all those things going in. Uh, it it helped me because I realized that although I was good at solving these things, time was not on my side. The medium and medium, even hard questions I understand, but even the medium questions I was taking a lot of time than what I should be taking. At least like 3.5 to 4 minutes on a medium question is a killer on an actual test. And I was struggling, honestly. I was struggling to fix that timing issue. However, with Payal's suggestions, with your suggestions, and with Rajat's suggestions, I was able to get away with some of the things. Data sufficiency was something that really helped me.
Mhm.
That coming out of Quant and going into data insight section was a blessing for me because that was my strength.
Mm-hmm.
and surely I got 100 percentile on main test also for data
Mm-hmm.
sufficiency. That also was time saver for me. I was able to solve them within 1.5 minutes. So that gave me more time to work on graphical interpretation and table analysis or two-part analysis questions. So I don't know if I answered the question. We went completely
I think
off
we went a
topic.
little bit off, but let's circle
So
back, right? So we know
yeah,
that
yeah,
graphical interpretation, table analysis, two-part analysis, those were the questions that you needed to devote more time to, right?
yeah.
But so how did you learn to tackle those questions? Of course, they're more time
The
consuming,
course,
but
the course. It was the course. There were several. I mean, I was, like I said, I was fairly confident in my abilities, but the some of the graphs they can get to you. They're like, you need to have proper focus on what data point the question is asking, because if you make a small error in your the way you look at the graph, you can make a mistake. So those, I made those mistakes and I
Mhm.
learned from those. That's where the Scholarium and the, those will come in handy for DI also. Sorry.
No problem. You want a sip of water?
No, no, I'm fine. I'm fine.
Okay. But yes, so
For
the Scholarium,
yeah, for the coursework, yes, the coursework, especially for graphical interpretation, was really helpful to me because there were certain questions which I learned in the course, how to calculate the mean, median, and stuff from the graph. How it's not about calculating, but calculating in the test time frame. You can
Mhm.
calculate it, but it will take you a lot of time. How do
Mhm.
you calculate within the test time frame is what eGMAT taught you in that course, and I would highly recommend anyone to take that course completely and take advantage of that.
Mhm. So, in a sense, if I had to draw an analogy here, I'm sure nothing that you really saw in these questions was completely alien to you. At a certain degree, like you said, you knew these things. But it's the difference between having a set of ingredients and being able to make a cake out of them. And the course helped really just give you that recipe and that process to make something out of the ingredients that you had. Would that be a fair way to put it?
Definitely, definitely, definitely.
Yeah.
It tells you how to approach the questions. It tells you you already have the if you already have the skill set, the time you spend on the course will be little lesser
Mm-hmm.
than if you don't have the skill set. But even then, it is a really great way to understand how to approach the GMAT type questions. Especially for someone like me who's struggling with time,
Mm-hmm.
it can be a very good time booster.
You also had some other great news from the two schools that you were waitlisted on, Ross and Booth, with an amazing, amazing admit, right? I know I said congrats, but congrats again on that front. Because,
Thank you very much.
yeah, because from day one, since we've been talking, which is, I think, 2022, quite frankly, Booth, I know, has been on your radar and it's been something that you've just been working towards for such a long time. When
Yeah,
it comes to applying to an M7 school, how did you really approach that application process? And how did you ace it?
I don't know if I aced it, but I am very happy that it happened. My approach was simple. I mean, it took a lot of self introspection.
Mm-hmm.
It took a lot of knowing who I am and how and what my goals are. Those are very important for you to figure out what you want to do, where you want to go, and what made you take those decisions. Especially for Booth, they need to know why. Why is very important for them. And if your reasoning is solid and your goals and all are do make sense from where you're coming from, it's a very good thing from Booth's perspective. I
Understood.
was able to just starting off, like I was saying, I had an idea of what I had very clear idea of what I want to do. That was clear for me. But how I can get that out of my mind, booth was something I knew, but I did not fully do research at the time.
Mhm.
So I was working with a consultant, and they helped me get some clarity of thought on that. And
Mhm.
and within second draft, they were very happy with that. So that's how my essay started, and my essay started in July. September was the deadline
Mhm.
for essays, for application actually. So until then I was like GMAT, GMAT, and I was like, okay, now it's done. Nah, I'm done with it. I'm going to apply with whatever score I have, and let me focus on the essays. And it, it just somehow worked out. So I'm just grateful for that.
So, second draft on your first essay is quite frankly amazing. It's not the thing I hear often. I know people have gone through multiple rounds of revision. So, how did you actually transform in your essay from draft one to draft two into that perfect essay? What did you change?
I basically look deep into what Booth has to offer
Mm-hmm.
and what I want to get
Mm-hmm.
out of Booth. And I just, it was more of projecting the connection properly. Like, hey, I want to get here, and what can I do to the Booth community? What Booth can do to me to achieve where I want to be, and the coursework. What kind of courses will help me? What kind of faculty? What kind of research can help me to get where I want to go? So those things I kind of did a deep dive into it. Learned, went through all the courses and see, saw what was pertinent to my goals, and I talked about some of them. So that kind of really helped, and I'm actually kind of proud about that, because yeah, even I didn't expect that the second draft will turn out perfect. When I heard the consultant's words like, hey, this is amazing, I was like, wow, this is good. Now I don't have to work on this essay anymore. I have to work on something else now. So that's a good thing to hear sometimes.
Understood. So that's truly phenomenal, right? Uh, so you had a consultant's help for your essays, but I know you did the interview prep yourself. If you had to give a couple of steps for other people who are also going through interview prep on their own, how would you really chart that out for someone else?
uh, my suggestion is be authentic,
Hmm.
because it's very easy if you're trying to mimic something, or if you're trying to project something, it will come off very easily, because persons who are interviewing you, they are very trained to identify such behaviors. So I would say be authentic to yourself. Know your stuff, know your stories, know your weakness story, know what you have to share, situational leadership stories or stuff like that. You should be able to know yourself, and that comes off naturally. It'll come if you know yourself properly. That's the best thing you can do to yourself for the interviews, because it will come off naturally, and it comes out with confidence. That makes a huge difference.
Hmm. Understood. Well, very, very important, right?
Yeah.
I know throughout all of this, whether it's your booth process, application process, or your GMAT, you had a huge pillar of support by your side, right? Which is your wife, and also you mentioned your father. To aspirants out there, how important is it to find that community? Because I know you also reached out to students from the schools that you're applying to, right? So, how important is it to create that network when you approach this journey, this MBA journey?
Very, very important, because, like you said, my two pillars, my wife, who was pregnant at the time, and we had to manage through that, and she has been an amazing support throughout my journey. And without her support, I wouldn't be here. And my father, without his guidance, without his insights, I would not have been able to draft anything, because sorry, it used to be a lot of discussions between me and my father, because he knows me in and out. He knows who I am. He knows how I think, and to be able to sit with him and discuss certain things before drafting my essays, that was essays are more about introspection into yourself. You should be able to tell to the admissions committee who you are, and that only happens when you are around people who know you well, who can talk about you, who can give you those critical feedbacks about yourself. And my wife, like, we after I write something and after we do something, I give it to her. Okay, you just criticize me on anything and everything you see. And she used to give me like, hey, this is not good, I don't like this. So we had this open dialogue constantly. And after that, then it went to the consultant for their advice. So that is very important to have. And talking to current students and all, it was also very important, because through them I was able to understand what the culture is, how is it important, what is important to them, and there'll be a lot of questions while you're doing essays or while you're doing your preparation, uh, and connecting with those students or alumni, for example, will give you those insights which will answer, which have answered my questions. I will say that.
Mhm. Absolutely.
So yeah, I think that's very important. Having that network is very important.
Absolutely, right? And I'm sure through this interview, you've also helped broaden and answer some questions for a lot of people out there, both on the GMAT and on the admissions front, right? So, in a lot of ways, the way people have answered your questions, I'm sure you've answered other people's as
Hopefully.
well, right?
Yeah,
So, that's
hopefully. Yeah.
really, really great. But good. I'm really, really glad. And again, thank you so much for taking the time out. I know you've been busy, but it's truly wonderful to put a solid end to such a wonderful long journey and to see you off into the next steps as well, right? So,
Yep.
congrats and thank you once more.
Thank you, Rita. I want to end it on this note. It was truly amazing working with eGMAT. I cannot say this enough, especially, I mean, yourself, Rita, because thank you very much. You have been throughout in my, for the most part of my journey. And there were times where I was like, okay, I'm going to give up. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to apply for something else. And this code is not going to help me get where I want to go. And you were there, like pushing me forward. Hey, don't worry. We can get there. You have this ability. I see that your scores are good. And don't worry, we can get. So those kind words of support also are sometimes very important. And I think that kind of showcases what Vrida is and what eGMAT is. So is very thankful for all this journey. Cannot thank eGMAT enough for being such a huge part in, hopefully, like, future to come, and this where I am right now, honestly. And I, yeah, that was one thing I just wanted to emphasize to people who are watching this video also, that eGMAT is not just a GMAT prepping company or some organization. It's more about, they'll help you reach your goals, and they help you in a very compassionate and empathetic way. So
I have nothing to add. Thank you so much for that. I know the entire team here was so ecstatic to hear about every success you've had along the way. And I'm sure we're all looking forward to every future success that you are bound to bring as well, right?
thank you.
So, thank you, congrats, and to all our viewers out there, all the best, happy learning, and take care. Bye bye.